An entire skyscraper's budget can bleed out thousands of dollars if the drywall and paint estimates are off by just a few fractions of a meter. Accurate measurement is where profit margins survive. This grid shows the surfaces we're targeting today, classified under internal wall finishes. We'll cover the specific rules for quantifying plaster, tiles, paint, and wallpaper. To quantify these materials correctly, we need a standardized system. Today, we are going to master the Standard Method of Measurement, or SMM2 takeoff process for these internal surfaces. This is a completed dimension paper. By the time we finish this module, you will know exactly how to fill this out step by step, resulting in a set of final totals ready for your project budget. You will possess the exact framework needed to convert standard architectural blueprints into accurate SMM2 compliant square meter measurements. Every calculation we do for internal wall finishes relies on this primary formula. The unit of measurement in square meters equals internal length multiplied by height. Before applying that formula, there is one major exclusion to note. Under SMM2 Section 5, staircase areas are strictly excluded from this specific measurement section and handled separately. Step 1 is determining the length variable. You calculate this by tracing the actual internal boundary of the specific room you are measuring. As the red X indicates, never measure your length using the structural grid lines on the drawing. Those refer to the building's structural skeleton, not the actual interior walls of the room. Accurate length relies entirely on tracing the literal interior perimeter of a specific space. This establishes the rigid mathematical foundation for the rest of your area calculation. Step 2 is calculating the height variable. Determining height is rarely a simple floor-to-ceiling measurement because the SMM2 rules change depending on how the wall intersects with baseboards and ceilings. Rule 1 covers walls with timber skirting or no skirting at all. For these, you measure straight from the bare floor surface all the way up to the ceiling level. Rule 2 applies to tile skirting. Because the tile takes up its own wall space, the physical height of the skirting must be subtracted from your total calculation. Rule 3 addresses suspended ceilings. In these rooms, you measure from the floor up to the suspended ceiling level, and then add a mandatory 150 millimeters. Blindly multiplying floor-to-ceiling heights will invalidate your entire takeoff. True SMM2 compliance requires actively adjusting for what touches the top and bottom of the wall. Final finishes cannot be applied directly to bare brick. We must separately measure the preparatory layers, which the SMM2 refers to as beds and backings. These backings have strict pairings with their final materials. As seen on the left side of this graphic, a 19mm rough cement and sand backing screed is always required to receive ceramic wall tiles. On the other hand, if a wall is designated to receive either paint or wallpaper, you must pair it with a smooth cement and sand plaster layer. Measuring wall finishes is a 2-for-1 process. Calculating the surface material simultaneously dictates the exact area of the required backing layer beneath it. Step 3 is deducting voids. Once we have our gross area, we must subtract the square meterage of any doors and windows where finishes will not be applied. This diagram shows a complex scenario, calculating a void deduction for a door on a partially tiled bathroom wall. To calculate the deduction for the wall tiles, we multiply the door's width by the maximum tile height, capped at 1.50 meters. Then, we calculate the remaining deduction for the plaster and paint layers sitting above the tile line, factoring in the 50mm drop at the top of the doorframe. This deduction list shows the result. Void deductions must be mathematically sliced exactly at the material transition line to keep both the backing and finishing quantities perfectly accurate. Looking closely at our completed dimension paper, the handwritten fish marks next to the totals confirm that every item has been fully measured, deducted, and verified. We traced the internal perimeter for our length, adjusted the height for our skirting and ceilings, paired our backings, and correctly split our void deductions. With these internal calculations locked in, you are ready to tackle the outside of the building in our next module on external wall finishes. By adhering strictly to the SMM2 guidelines, complex architectural drawings are successfully transformed into a precise, mathematically sound blueprint for construction budgeting.